Hello, hello, friends. Welcome to Exploragonians. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm Katie.
And this week, we are going to take you to my hometown, the place I was born, Bay City, Oregon.
And I just want to warn you, this episode is a lot.
Why?
I just feel like, we're getting the cobwebs off. It's been a couple of years. We're trying.
It's the first pancake.
It's...
So if you want to skip and just wait till next week,
You can't skip this.
don't skip it.
I mean, there's a lot going on, but there's some little gold nuggets in there.
Yeah, like some Jordan lore.
Some treasures.
We do some world building.
Some like TMI stories.
Definitely TMI. That's what we're good for. But we're also going to talk about some of the best things to do in Bay City. We're going to talk about Kilchis Point Reserve. We're going to talk about some shenanigans that happened with our friend's house and a potato gun. We're also going to talk about my first crush. So, hey, and maybe it's also Katie's childhood best friend. I don't know.
So buckle up.
Yeah. And welcome to season 1 of Exploragonians.
No. Welcome.
Season 2.
Did he just say season 1? Back me up.
I said episode 1.
I don't know. Why don't you say it again?
Yeah, roll the tape.
Hey, guess what? We just rolled the tape. We
did.
rolled the
We
tape.
rolled it all the way back.
And what did you learn, Jordan?
I learned that I'm frequently wrong, which is another hallmark of this episode. Jordan is frequently wrong.
Okay, so
Welcome to season 1. We've gone back in time.
welcome to season 2, episode 1.
Bay City, Oregon!
Woo!
1, 2, 3, 4.
Greetings, Katie, if that's your real name.
Greetings, Earthling.
Nanu. Live long and prosper.
Jordan.
Oh, Jordan. Of what planet? What planet do I hail from?
Bay City, Oregon.
That is a cool planet.
It's a pretty cool planet.
It seems like maybe a small planet?
It is a pretty... it's not a planet. We are talking about a small town.
It is an incorporated city, which in Tillamook County, that is kind of rare because from Central County north, all the little towns and villages, well, most of them, are incorporated. So you have a mayor and a city council and like budgets and things like that. And then everything south, unincorporated. It is a lawless wasteland where like
Wow.
water districts are the governing body. It is a very strange place. But Bay City is a city, and the population's like, I don't know, 1800.
Is it?
I was gonna say 1,000, and that would be wildly inaccurate.
It's tiny but mighty. We have some fun memories in Bay City.
What comes to mind when you think of Bay City? Like, what do you think is like the hot things?
Well, those are two separate questions.
It was,
What I
yeah.
thought of was like walking the hills. There's a lot of hills in Bay City.
It's like the San Francisco of Tillamook County.
Totally. And I don't even know what your second question was.
Oh, what makes it hot? What's the hot, cool thing to do?
Oh, well, the hot, cool thing that you and I have been doing is going out to dinner there, but that's not really...
That is true. We have been going to dinner there. Well, okay, so when I think of Bay City is right off Highway 101, one of the most scenic, beautiful highways in Oregon, because it goes along the entirety of the coast, for the most part.
It's a beautiful drive. So if you find yourself putzing around, you gotta drive 101.
But you must also please drive carefully and use the pullouts if you're going to admire any body of water that you may come across, because when you're going on 101, there's lots of water features.
That's true.
You cross a bridge. You don't ford a river, but you cross a bridge. And sometimes there's an ocean. I don't know which one.
Okay, well, let's start with you. So Bay City is a special place to you because...
It's my hometown. After I was born, after I was forcibly, I believe I was vacuum removed from my mother.
That is very...
Very graphic.
That is very graphic.
Children, cover your ears.
All right, so Jordan sucked out and then shipped off to Bay City. And then
shipped-
how long were you living there?
I was given to a family of rabbits, and they took me to their burrow?
Leader?
No, they're the rabbit leader. So I grew up in a little tiny mobile home in Bay City. I wasn't like in like the downtown portion of Bay City or like the ritzy part of Bay City. Again, I was in a little a very small mobile home.
Is there a ritzy part of Bay City?
Yeah, you just gotta, you go up into those San Francisco hills.
Oh, everybody lives on the hill.
I did. Well, I guess I did live on a hill. Dang. So I did live by what I found out in adulthood by a paintbrush factory. So that's a fun one.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, I grew
Or was
up,
it a paintbrush handle factory?
That was that one.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think any bristles.
No,
Just
they didn't do that half.
just the the handle.
Because part of it, when we would volunteer at outdoor school, we would get the rejects as kindling for our campfires.
That's pretty good.
Burned a lot of paintbrush handles.
So what do you think of when you think of Bay City?
I think of growing up there. I mean, things have changed a little bit. I mean, the rate of progress in Tillamook County is sluggish. So things really haven't changed that much. But when I think of it, I think of like the Downey family. That was like a second family of my own. I called them like, Grandpa Chuck, Grandma Hazel. They lived in Bay City. But their son had owned, like, their family owned the convenience store, which was also connected to a tiny little restaurant. And so that was like a place where I hung around a lot.
Okay, wait. Well, let's just take a pause. I mean, Bay City, that basically is Bay City. You think about that store and that restaurant, and then in addition, there's like a post office, and,
Because
they have...
legally, you need to have a post office
Well,
and a
there
city
you go.
hall.
Right. So, like, Bay City doesn't have that much. So, that really was, not just the hub for you, but for that community.
Yeah.
And still is.
And so that's like a big core memory for me. Also with Bay City, like, I grew up in the 90s, and so no phones. You could just kind of like walk the main streets, which meant when I was like 6 or 7, I was hanging out with my dear friend Charlie growing up. And Charlie was like from Bay City. I was like outskirts of Bay City. He knew Bay City. And so he and I, 2 kids, a little Tom Sawyer, Huck Finn situation going on. And we needed to get back to his house. But I have a confidence issue, as in either I have no confidence or I have exaggerated confidence.
Jordan likes to be the smartest person in the room.
I don't like to.
You were just born that way. And this is a good story. This is a good...
It's a good example of what happens.
Of that, yeah.
So Charlie was like, okay, well, we got to go this way to get home. And I said, your house is not that way, Charlie. Your house is this way. And we had an argument as
A
6.
spat.
We had a lover's spat. Charlie and I at 6. And I had decided Charlie was an idiot, and so Charlie could go his own way and get lost in Bay City, and I would go the correct way and get to his house first. And I'm assuming Charlie got home. I just kept walking in a straight line in Bay City, and I was like, it's around here somewhere, and I'm going to show Charlie, and he's going to be so silly feeling when he finds out I made it to his house
So
first.
were you like picked up, or where did you end up?
Yeah, eventually my mom showed up. Yeah, she got off work and I think realized that I was not at Charlie's house. And then she came driving by and I was like, man, it looks like my mom's car. She wasn't thrilled. Wasn't thrilled with the choices I'd made.
All right. So, great. That's Bay City. Bay City is this very small town, right, that's parallel to 101 and overlooks what body of water, Jordan?
Well, when I was a kid, I didn't really understand. It was just called Bay City. Allegedly, it overlooks a bay, but it's Tillamook Bay. And so that was confusing to me because I was like, oh, well, Tillamook's here.
Right.
But this is Tillamook Bay. And Tillamook Bay has features of, it's really popular for shellfish. It's got a big oyster situation going on. An oyster situation.
It's definitely an oyster situation. I feel like people are so crazy about Pacific seafood that is also in Bay City. I mean, I have an uncle who lives on the East Coast, and he would just talk about, like, oh, it's the best. Everyone's like, it's the best clam chowder. It's the best. I don't know.
Every single eatery, every single business. You could be a bootery or selling haberdashery. You would sell the world's best clam chowder if you're on the Oregon coast.
Well, there you go. So, I think that view of the Tillamook Bay from Bay City is so beautiful, and and really like on a nice sunny day, and like how the sunshine hits the water, it's so kind of like glittery, glistening. It just really is dare I say, magical.
Ooh.
Yeah, it really is nice. And
I always just kind of
Yeah.
thought every body of water was the ocean. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like,
right, you totally just take it for granted. You're like, oh yeah, great.
I mean, I can imagine if you had a house somewhere in the hills of Bay City, you'd have some like pretty great views.
We are not telling you to buy real estate in Bay City, by
please-
the way.
please
Just
don't.
calm down.
There's a lot of rabbits, and the
Just
rabbits
cool
eat
your
houses.
jets,
Yeah.
you know, right.
Except the other thing about bodies of water, and we saw this like contrast on the East Coast, is that our bodies of water almost never have like boats in them. I mean, there will be boats, but they'll be further out towards like the Tillamook Head, like the bar, like things like that.
Right. It was like, I don't know, such a shock to go to the East Coast and you're like, whoa, what's up with all these sailboats? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, nobody's sailing in the
No.
bay. Also,
No.
the bay is very shallow.
I mean, right. Where I feel like we're not swimming and we're not sailing.
You don't do any of that in the bay.
I don't know. Maybe someone's going to write us and be like, what are you talking about? We always sail or we always swim, but you and I definitely aren't. So,
No, we definitely not. So the other thing with Bay City is that my grandpa grew up in Bay City, a fact that I also like didn't realize or didn't know until I was like way too old. But he grew up right next to a mink farm
right.
because that was like big industry back in the day, back in, I don't know, the 40s, the 50s, and I'm assuming before then.
Probably.
But I mean, there's like a lot of old Tillamook money has some roots in mink farming, and so my grandpa would tell crazy stories about when it was time to harvest the mink. And if you don't know what mink is, we just watched like a whole like YouTube video about minks, and they are like funky little like weasel otters, kind of a semi-aquatic mammal.
So, right, people would use it for, you know, like your fur coat, right? Your stole or...
Which your grandmother did have a mink stole.
She did. I'm sure she got it locally.
Oh, and she wore it to her wedding.
She wore it to her wedding.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which, I mean, people, you know, have mixed feelings on fur, but I mean, it was a big thing here, and it's no longer happening. But yeah, we took like my grandpa, like we drove around back like where the farms were, and he was kind of pointing out where it was, and I was like, yeah, it's kind of beautiful back here.
But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't know it. You're like on this like tiny little back street. It's not like we're like in this giant field or, you know, farmland necessarily. Like I feel like we were just like in this tiny little neighborhood, and you're like, wait, the mink farm was here?
Yeah, it's interesting. Tiny little neighborhood. So like the little street that I grew up on. So like there were a few mobile homes or like some smaller homes, but my world's first crush was my next door neighbor in Bay City.
Uh-oh.
And if you're listening, Jackie, how are you? Yeah, Jackie was the neighbor girl. I had a crush on the neighbor girl.
I mean, where's she now?
I don't know. I don't even know her last name.
Dang.
Just Jackie.
But you know, it must have been a thing because my first love, you know,
Was Jackie?
yeah,
Chan?
was my well, that's true. I loved Jackie Chan, and then my childhood best friend was Jackie also,
Aw.
but different Jackie, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
Now,
God, what if it was the same Jackie? Because she also lived in Bay City but didn't live there.
Oh my God.
How many Jackies are in Bay City?
It's a lot of Jackie. Well, Jackie moved.
Okay, well, no,
Well, I don't.
okay, we're gonna have
Jackie-
to get back to you.
Jackie was older than me, and she was bigger than me. So I don't know what the age difference was, but she was taller. I mean, yeah, I would chase Jackie around. I was like, Jackie, please hang out with me. I mean, baby Jordan was a Casanova. Like, I learned at a very young age that I was like girl crazy. You know, at like 4, I was like,
When you know, you know.
yeah. So, one of the first chores I ever had was with like Jackie's parents. They had asked me to help pull weeds.
Wow, it was probably the first time you were ever asked to do that in your whole life.
Manual
It
labor.
was probably the one and only time, huh?
Give me a podcast instead, Mama. I remember being hot and kind of miserable.
Oh, that's why it didn't work out with you and Jackie.
And I was like, I can't.
Jackie's parents were like, nope. He can't believe.
We could have had an arranged marriage, and I screwed it all up.
Aww.
But I tried to show you this house in Bay City, and you and I had gone, and it was the first time that I had been in that area since childhood. And so we pulled down the road, went down to it, gone.
Yeah.
And so that's always that. I don't know if you've ever had that experience, dear listener, But it is a very surreal experience when you go to look for a place that you lived or you grew up in, and it's either A, completely different,
Right.
B, gone. I guess C is like completely the same, which would probably be its own other kind of like.
That kind of messes with your brain, your psyche a little bit.
So it was strange to go over there and be like, oh, it ceased to exist.
Right. It just lives in your memory.
Yeah. So I mean, the Bay City is nothing if not just like memory central for me. And one of them, a lot of the memories come from Bay City Park, which I think
Well-
has a name. What?
Well, I was
Yes?
going to say back where you grew up, like behind there, I was surprised, like just driving in the hills, because I have an aunt and uncle who live in Bay City. And so I too have memories of Bay City and like walking up hills, but like a different area
Different hills.
than you were in. Yeah, there's just a lot of hills. But there's like a school back there. There was
Oh,
a
right.
school, and I'm like, was there a skate park there? Or maybe I just knew somebody who was skateboarding at this old school that I think is just an empty building. I don't know if they're doing something with it now, but
Hey, McMinimans, there's a school ready for you.
there you go.
So like you've mentioned, so like what are like your childhood Bay City memories?
Well, my aunt and uncle live also in a trailer in Bay City.
All right, they're good for it.
And
Bay City's good for it.
it was the first time I ever saw the like neighborhood watch signs.
Isn't the one that kind of like the logo is like a scary
Yeah.
man?
Yeah, it's very intense. And then I was like creeped out by Bay City and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. You know, like why do we have these neighborhood watch signs? And so I was a little like on edge being in Bay City because of that. But yeah, I just remember kind of like walking, you know, it's like I loved walking down the hill and it's like overlooking the water and you're like, wow, the bay is like so beautiful. But walking back up the hill, not loving that. That was a tough one. And then my first boyfriend also lived in Bay City,
What you had a boyfriend that wasn't me?
you know, just like Jackie.
A first love?
Yes, I mean, there's Bay City ties and Bay City just memories.
Okay, it's also easy to do because Bay City is literally the next city north of Tillamook. So I mean, it's like
That's right. I mean, we're talking about Bay City as kids, and then yeah, you wanted to talk about the park. But I was gonna say when you and I got together, our couple best friends, so they were living in Bay City,
but they've lived in like several places in Bay City.
right? And then you and I have visited in several places that they lived in Bay City, and then ended up just walking around and just spending a lot of time in Bay City. And I feel like just Bay City
It's quaint, it's pleasant.
it's charming. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like rough around the edges. I mean, it's not like a super polished, like you're not like, oh wow, Bay City is like so developed or so I don't know. It's eclectic, I guess. But they do have this really nice large park.
That's also like you could go camp there. So there's like campgrounds.
Right. So you could camp, but there is this crazy slide.
The slide, okay, the famous hills of Bay City, it goes down a hill, which as a kid was the most mind-blowing slide in the world. Like that was an insane slide. And it goes up, it butts up against like a creek. But again, when you're
Yeah.
like 3 years old, like flying down the slide, you're like, I'm gonna drown. I'm gonna drown
Right.
in that.
Right. It's so totally treacherous.
It's the Mississippi River.
Mm-hmm. So you have that, and then they have some swings, but they also have a skate park. And then recently they've incorporated a nice like mural. And I just appreciate any art that some towns are willing to implement to kind of, you know, breathe some new fresh life into something.
And that's something that Bay City really does with the Bay City Arts Center. And that is like, it's this, I don't know what the history of that building is, but it's this beautiful, giant 2, maybe 3-story building.
Yeah, we were just having dinner there the other day, not at that building, but we were walking around and like outside the Bay City Arts Center are these like beautiful trees and like these.
What tree? What kind of tree was that? It was like this enormous, like, it's a tree that you don't see around these parts. I was like, what are you? I mean, it was just like this really gorgeous thing. But they do a lot of like, I think they do like camps and events and different different types of art, hosting different people. We went to a concert there a couple years ago and saw our friend.
We also went there once and saw a presentation on Colombia and had some Colombian food. And that
Which was
nice.
good for you because you have been to Colombia.
Right. So I mean that was lovely.
The concert we went to, though, it was for our friends, like, alternative hard rock band from the 90s. Shout out to Red Tide. During the concert, though, because we were in the front row, I think we were encouraged to stand, but nobody else was standing, so we were just blocking a bunch of people's view to attempt to be good concert goers for our friend.
I mean, we love an awkward good time.
We sure do. So, yeah, so this Bay City Art Center, so I think they commissioned or worked with someone to, like, put that mural up in the park. That area of the park that's, like, basketball court / maybe tennis court. I don't know what's going on there with those ones. That is the first place where I learned to ride a bike without training wheels.
Aw.
Isn't that nice?
It is nice.
It was also really scary because I don't know if any of you remember what it's like to ride a bike without training wheels for the first time, but my parents, who this is the first of many times they've lied to me, but they told me that they would hold the seat the whole time. And so I was like, okay, cool. So I had, like, I had their power behind me. I was like, dad's got me, mom's got me. And then I turned around and then they were gone and it was just me. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm riding a bike.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember taking the training wheels off for just that idea. And yeah, it is scary. I was thinking, does your brother know how to ride a bike?
Yep. He also can do it without training wheels.
Did you do it? Did you do that tactic?
I might have.
You're like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm right here. Yeah. Also put teeth under your pillow. Also, that Bay City Park, I think it is a sore subject right now for you.
Oh yes, I had an incident. So on our hiatus, while we've been like not on the air for 2 years, one of our things is, as we have mentioned, we've been going to dinner in Bay City, and afterwards we decided to go on a nice walk with our friend. And Jordan thought it'd be really sweet if our friend and I got on the teeter-totter and he took our picture. Well, friends, teeter-totters are apparently dangerous, so watch out. So our friend went down.
And our friend is a big guy. I mean, he's a couple 100 pounds. He's a couple stones.
Wow.
But I think he was trying to be funny and kind of bump you from going down fast.
Yeah. And I was like, I had it, and then I lost it, and I just slowly fell off the teeter-totter.
As I thought it would be really cute to take a video of this, and so I have video evidence of you slowly, agonizingly slipping off this teeter-totter, and then I guess pinching a nerve on the way down.
Oh yeah, I had tingling for months just on my one side, and it's mostly better. But this is just, let it be a lesson. Watch out.
Watch out for teeter-totters.
Watch out for teeter-totters.
Yeah, and physical therapy was great.
Other things I like about the park is I feel like they have a nice covered area for, kind of picknicky area. I just feel like
Birthdays. We're going to do a lot of birthdays at that park.
We've
And by a
definitely
lot,
done-
I think 2.
I was going to round up. I think 3. But
Same kid.
still, same kid. Yeah, it's a nice thing that community has for that size too, the size of town.
It's way more charming than the city park that Tillamook has, the main city park. So you mentioned the skate park that's over there. Have you ever been skating at that skate park? You with that first love.
Wow. Well, I know that I was there while he was skateboarding.
Oh.
I dated 2 guys that skateboarded.
Am I one of those 2 guys?
You were not.
I have skateboarded, as in I've been on a skateboard.
I too have been on a skateboard, and it felt very unnatural, and kind of like my relationships with them, I guess.
Aww.
Isn't that
the first
sad?
one's probably a little more natural.
That's true, but it just, I don't know if I was skating around there. I mean, maybe, but no.
How were they as skaters?
They were good.
Dang.
I was not.
That's pretty good, because one of them's my height.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like center of gravity's hard when you're a big guy.
I just feel like you gotta want it.
Good for him.
Totally.
So also with that park, The creek that we've mentioned. So that kind of separates from like the park area to like the camping area. That was like no man's land growing up. I was like, do not cross the creek. You could not go over there. It was basically another world. It was like the bridge to Terabithia. Like that was Terabithia.
What is Terabithia?
You'll have to find out. It's a classic children's book. Also, spoiler alert, main girl dies at the end.
Whoa, well, that's not reading that.
She tries to cross the bridge of Terabithia, but I think there's a flood or there's a storm, and yeah, it's a very tragic ending.
What?
It's kind of like Where the Red Fern Grows, and then oops, both the dogs die trying to like fend off a bear or a cougar.
Oh my god.
What other books can I spoil?
No, this
Harry
is-
Potter and the Half-Blood
No.
Prince. Snape kills Dumbledore.
Whoa.
Lord of the Rings. Spoiler alert: Gollum gets the ring.
I want to talk about the new stuff that Bay City has implemented. So there's a library in Bay City, like a really small one that
We've
I
never
didn't.
been.
No, we walked in, but we haven't like really hung out. We had a friend who was doing story time there, and I don't know if it's open full time, but I think again it's nice that that is available to whoever's in Bay City. But something also is they commissioned this like beautiful Bay City mural.
That's a crazy, beautiful mural. Like, it's like electric colors, features a heron.
Right, and you can see it from the highway. Yeah, it's very eye-catching and really fun. And so right across the street from the mural is they have planted a bunch of plants and trees and
It reminded
some
me
flowers.
of Manzanita, Oregon, and like the Hoffman Center, like garden area, but like in its infancy.
right. And so it's just starting, but they are, have like a nice little kind of tranquil space that you can walk around and yeah. So I mean that's something to definitely check out if you end up in Bay City.
Funky business things in Bay City. There's like this. I don't know. The house looks like it's built out of Legos. Like it's just like Lego colors. Like every section of the house is like a different color.
Mm-hmm.
There's just things out there. I don't know if it's commercial or like what's going on there, but they sell things. That's strange. There was also, for a very long time, it was called the Art Space.
Mm-hmm.
And talk about an eclectic business. I mean, I think it's been the same owners. They just kind of put different things in there. We had soup there. Like, that was our soup place for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're selling antiques out of there now. I mean, just a ton of different stuff. But man, when it was the soup place, and you and I played chess there for like the first time.
Wow, was it the first time?
One of the first times.
We played chess.
King me, baby.
You taught me how to play chess.
What?
Yep.
You didn't know how to play chess before then?
Nope.
So if you saw a knight, you'd say,
Nope.
what?
I didn't know.
How mind-blowing was like the chess moves? We're like, why do they all move differently?
I felt very overwhelmed by chess. I'd played chess on the computer, but I mean, that doesn't count because it gives you, it tells you where you can move, right? And so you're like, oh, I don't really have to think about this. And you helped explain it to me, and that felt very empowering. It was like, oh, this moves in the L shape or whatever.
Yeah, and you can hop over people. Just wait until we do wizard's chess.
Oh, great.
How exciting is that? Or like the chess that Chewbacca plays on the Millennium Falcon.
No.
With like the CG monsters like smashing in that CG.
I was going to make a joke
claymation.
about Move Over Ron for doing wizard's chess.
Man, I would not get that reference. Hey, let's talk more about Bay City.
Okay.
So I heard the Art Space, this was a rumor that went around, the kids my age, that they had an official prop from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, Turtles in Time. I don't know if that's the subtitle.
What?
Yeah, I heard that they had like, it might have been Charlie, it might have been Cousin Gerald, who's in prison. It might have been one of them who was like, hey, did you know they have like a door that was in the movie? I don't know, kids, kids talk.
Wow.
Maybe it was something cooler than that.
But you never went and saw it.
No, because I was a child. I couldn't go, hello, business.
You couldn't go all the way to Bay City.
Yeah, no, impossible. I could walk around Bay City at my leisure. Yeah. So I don't know what the prop was. In my mind, canon, it's still a door. They have like some door for Ninja Turtles. But that doesn't make any sense. Why would you want the door?
Well, you just said these people still own the business, so I
Don't
guess
they?
we could go ask.
I don't know if they do.
I think they do.
So, yeah, interesting. But yeah, Ninja Turtles 3, I guess filmed in the area. I don't some film knowledge for you. I have another piece of Bay City knowledge for you,
Let's hear
which
it.
was weird. Online, poor information on Bay City. It was very difficult to surface anything. But on Wikipedia, they had a list of notable people from Bay City.
Uh-oh.
And I got really excited. I was like, ooh, who are we going to see? Because sometimes you might get like a Alanis Morissette, some sort of like nugget in the rough.
Okay, let's see.
Alanis is Canadian. But Bay City is notable for one person. And I was like, well, that's rude. Just one person. And then I read it and it got worse. Apparently there's a person named Nellie Owens. And they are famous for being one of three people who were conglomerated into the character of Nellie Olson in Little House on the Prairie.
Great.
Isn't that cool?
That's very cool. I was going to say unrelated is, you know what I miss is back in the day and not that long ago, there was the Rail Riders.
I think it exists in some fashion, but it's not the OG Rail Riders.
And I wanted to do it, and we never did it. It was like Tillamook's been, in Tillamook County has been trying for many years. It's like this ongoing discussion about how to repurpose the old railway.
Because what happened with the railroads is that we had this major storm in 2007, and there was already some issues with the railroads in the county, but this storm pretty much wiped out all of them. So the Port of Tillamook County had a couple options. It was given a lump sum, and their options were use it all to rebuild all of this, kind of dubious infrastructure for the railroads, or put it towards increasing services at the port. So they chose to increase services at the port. So now the railroads are pretty much just ghost towns, and they're planning on turning all of the railroads into the Salmonberry Trail. And so that's going to be a big thing. It's like a 100-year project, though, so don't hold your breath.
Well, anyway, so the Rail Riders, they had these little carts, and you could pedal. They were pedal powered.
Pedal power.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Anyway, also reminds me of a thing I did in Colombia. Doesn't matter.
But that was not pedal powered.
No, it was not.
Powered by gasoline.
But it was using the railroad.
But see, right by there, where they would have their little station that they held the carts in, was that seafood place you talk about. They had all of the shells in just a mound.
Right, and it's what is the how many years of buildup is that?
Is it a day? Did they get rid of it? I don't know. But anytime you would drive by drive through Bay City, because you kind of bypass the town with the highway, because you kind of have to turn off to go into the town. But yeah, anybody passing through Bay City on Highway 101 would see this enormous mound of shells. Oyster shells, I'm guessing.
It feels like what's missing from this episode is somebody representing Bay City that we can... I feel like we should have Pacific Seafood people and be like, what's going on with that pile?
What's going on with that
So
pile?
if you drive by, maybe you find out, maybe let us know.
When I was the editor of the newspaper, I was able to, I hope, contribute to the pile of oyster shells, because Senator Jeff Merkley was doing a tour, and I was following him around and taking pictures and writing a story about the conversations he was having, and he and I were shucking oysters together.
I know, and then you took me back there, and you're like, we have to have these oysters, because they did baked oysters.
They're so good.
They were pretty good. So... you better check that out.
So other things with Bay City, just my own young memories, and a really stupid anecdote that I have to share, is that my dad, my parents were fairly young when they had me, and my dad didn't always make the best decisions or hang around with the best people. I mean, they were kind-hearted guys, but they were all pretty dumb. And so I guess I was hanging out with my dad, and his friends were getting drunk, and then I thought it'd be funny to we were playing around with this guy, and I grabbed a loaf of bread, and I thought it'd be really funny if I just started smacking him with it, and then he was laughing, so I was smacking him with a loaf of bread, and I just kept doing it, and then I smacked him enough with this loaf of bread that then he ran outside and puked, and I thought it was because of me, and it come to find out it's because he was drunk. But all I think about when we go by that house is that's where I beat the hell out of that guy with a loaf of bread.
Oh my God.
Yeah, isn't that a weird story? Isn't that weird when you kind of also, like, when you get older and you're like, I shouldn't have been in that situation. I was 5.
See? Well, okay. So I guess what we're saying, and I don't know why we decided to start with Bay City. I think that Bay City, it's rough, but it's charming. And I think it's not to be bypassed. I think it's definitely worth checking out. And something else that I like about Bay City is it connects to the old highway. So if you did not want to drive on 101, you could drive up a hill in Bay City and then up and over, and it would connect, like if you were going to Garibaldi. Yeah, there's probably a name of the road, but you know.
Hobsonville, I believe. Hobsonville?
You think so?
That was the old one. And your grandparents, because her grandpa, Dr. Roy Peterson, DVM, was like the all creatures great and small veterinarian of Tillamook. He had some story like when they first moved here in the 40s that he had to go out on a call because he would do large animals like horses, livestock, cows, whatever.
He
and
also did cats and dogs.
He did it all, man. They were on Hobsonville, and then at some point they like their headlights went out, and so they had to like lean out and use a flashlight to show them. And this is like a kind of a sketch, like forested highway. Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, I want to talk about more of like adult era Katie and Jordan stories. So the first time I ever saw your underwear was because of Bay City.
Wow. I'm going to say it's because of me.
Oh, okay.
Because I was wearing pants that apparently were about to give. And so I was at a birthday party.
Our goddaughter's first birthday, but it was before I was her godfather.
You're just some guy. And I don't know, I was bending down, and then it was unbelievable. It was the first time, maybe the only time, definitely the first time, I don't know, that my pants like ripped. So just like blew out of like
by like the back pocket.
Yeah. And
it was a lot of cheek.
I just felt like it was unbelievable. So it was like I had to share it with somebody.
So yeah, you took a picture or had someone take a pic. Did you? Who took the picture?
I think I took the pic.
Wow, that's pretty good.
I'm a pretty talented photographer.
You sent it to who knows who.
I think multiple. I think you were one of the recipients.
Multiple suitors?
No, just peeps.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Peeps.
So yeah, I got this. And I was like, oh! It was crazy.
Anyway, so yeah, we used to go and hang out with Dave and Sarah. We had a water balloon fight in Bay City.
I had gotten home from like a long shift at the pub I was working at, and I thought we were just there to hang out.
Well, we weren't. We were there to chuck water balloons at each other, and maybe we had the hose. Did we just like squirt the hose? And like, I just feel like
kitchen hose.
I don't know. I just think we got Dave and Sarah's house like soaked.
Yeah, they're just having fun. I walked in. I think you were already there. And then the water balloon thing happened, and then I just ran away. And so it was like me and Charlie again. I'm just wandering around the streets of Bay City. I think at some point David is chasing me with water balloons.
That's true.
Bay City was just our playground.
It was definitely, so yeah, there's definitely a lot of like happy, playful memories associated with it. Later, they moved in with another friend that we had, and they were down. I feel like that was in kind of like the ritzy place of Bay City. There were some new builds, and for George's birthday,
Katie is, you give her a pack of chalk and she can make magic happen.
I love birthdays. I love celebrating people. And so we decided, I don't know, I feel like we did it in like the night too. Like I feel like we snuck out in the middle of the night. I just remember doing it in the dark.
It was like me, doing it in the dark. It was me, you, and Sarah, right?
Right. And so we like walking down the street and we're writing like happy birthday George like in the road like all throughout town. And anyway, and then I think we left and then
went to his birthday party the next day.
And then he was like, oh, yeah, I don't know what's been going on, but all these people keep showing up and like wishing me a happy birthday. And they were
Or giving him gifts. He had like a bunch of things that people were giving him.
And he didn't know because he didn't see the chuck, so he didn't know how everybody knew that it was his birthday.
Just magic.
Anyway, it's the magic of Bay City.
So, yeah, it is a magic Bay City. But I mean, hot take. So, if you have like a birthday coming up, you just get everybody to grab some chalk and just go around town. Maybe we should do that on like our road here for birthdays.
That's true.
See what kind of gifts we can get.
Hmm.
That seemed really like
Yeah, well,
selfish.
what a statement.
I want some presents.
I just felt like, we could announce whose birthday it was in the neighborhood.
Just
but
anybody's?
Jordan went for gifts.
So I'm sorry.
Okay, you guys, I think Jordan would like some birthday gifts. His birthday's coming up.
Wow.
It's your birthday month.
Hey, so wherever you live on this big, beautiful planet, just say happy birthday, Jordan, somewhere on there. I wanted to say other stories with Bay City, specifically like that house. Like, that was also Shenanigans' house. Like, for George's birthday, they also brought out like a potato gun. And so they had like this system where they would just shoot the potatoes out into the forest. But they would use like hairspray and a lighter. And like George and David, it was like well-oiled machine. Like if zombies came, I would want those two and that potato gun and probably a field of potatoes on my side.
So yeah, I don't know. Bay City is like shenanigan land.
Shenanaland.
All right, let's move on.
I will move backwards in time to the water balloon house to, I would say, a very important moment for you and I in our life. Because after Outdoor School 2012, we became like really close friends, and we also became close with Sarah, and I became close with Sarah for the first time as an adult. And so for your birthday, I was invited to a Halloween party at their house, at their house in Bay City. And so when I hear Halloween party, like I want to do like some fun, super nerdy dress up. And so I compile what I think is going to be the best Halloween costume ever. I put on my khaki pants with cargo pockets. I put on kind of like a beige shirt. I kind of scruffle up my hair. I take my brother's Yoda stuffed animal, put it on my back. I grab my toy lightsaber, put it on my pocket. I go to this party because my costume is from Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and I am Luke Skywalker training on the swamp planet Dagobah with Yoda on my back. Fantastic costume. I walk in. Nobody gets it.
Has anyone ever complimented that costume?
Do I count?
Yes.
Then yes.
Okay, so Jordan walks in.
I wasn't going to come. I was like, oh, scary. I don't want to go to an adult Halloween party.
Totally.
And I think the trajectory of our lives would be different had I not said yes to that Bay City Halloween party.
I agree. And I don't know if we were like, who are you supposed to be? Or
I think I was getting compliments on my Yoda costume.
it was like, oh, I like that. Right. It was like, oh, yeah, I think he's supposed to be Yoda.
Wow.
Like, nobody got it. Nobody.
Well, so
this was not the crowd.
I didn't know that.
I also didn't know that.
Again, this is like an adult Halloween party, so people are like drinking and other types of inebriation. I was so uncomfortable. I was like, if the cops show up, even though I'm a 22-year-old man, I'm going to be arrested and go to jail. It was very scary. So I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'2", on a good day. This massive man, who's got to be, 7'8"? Gotta be. Comes up to me, and he looks like Jigsaw from Saw. He's got that creepy, like, white face paint. He's got the red spiral cheeks. He's wearing, like, a suit. He is freaky. I do not want to talk to this man. He's like, hi, welcome to my house. I'm David. And I was like, I don't know who you are, and I never want to see you again. Haha, they're now our couple best friend. Anyway, I'm trapped in conversation with this scary, large man. And then he's like, I think we should be Facebook friends. And so I'm like, I don't wanna. And so I become Facebook friends with this guy. And then our friend Sarah shows up, and she has this freaky zombie makeup on.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, their makeup is exceptional.
It's the scariest Halloween party I've ever been to.
Me too.
And then you show up, or I see you, and you're in this sexy Bumblebee costume.
I was borrowing it.
It looked very good on you, but you were also there with your ex-boyfriend. Well, he was your boyfriend then. He is currently an ex-boyfriend.
Correct.
And I was very jealous. Bay City, baby.
This is Bay City.
I was also invited to do a keg stand, and I clutched my pearls when that happened. And I was like, I could not possibly do something like that. I'm leaving. I didn't leave then. I did just want to hang around because I wanted you to see me.
And Yoda.
And being social. So, Bay City.
Okay, I'm ready to move on.
Where would you like to move on to?
Okay, there is another thing that's really special about Bay City. That
is it the mound of oyster shells?
No.
Okay.
We are done with this stuff. And there is other stuff going on there. It's like
There's just
if you're really into jerky, I feel like people are so hot to trot for
Jerky Town.
the Tillamook. Fine.
Jerky Town. Hey, no free pub.
No free pub.
As Charles Barkley taught me, no free pub.
Okay, well, fine. Doesn't matter.
If you're coughing up cash, I'll talk to you all day.
Okay, something I love that you and I have walked. Let's start over. Something that I love.
Is it the mound of oyster shells?
No. What I love is there is a nice outdoor trail that they worked on for many years.
Who is they?
Well, I guess
The
it's
Mennonites?
the Tillamook Pioneer Museum, because I think they had the land donated.
I think you're right.
And then I don't know, I think it was just a bunch of volunteers that put together this trail that through the years has become really nice and maintained and accessible. And it's called the Kilches Point Reserve. So if you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend. Do you have anything to say about that?
I absolutely do.
You're looking like you have something to say.
There's a mound of oyster shells. No, there's not a mound of oyster shells. So it's one of those places, and this is just everywhere, probably anywhere where there's wooded lands. There's a sign, and it tells you to, like, don't hike around dusk or dawn, because that's when the cougars and the bears are out.
Oh, great.
I hate seeing those, because then I get freaked out, even if it's, like, 2 p.m.
I think you get freaked out no matter what.
That's-
Between Jordan, our dog Bretzel, and me, it's like, in terms of bravery, it's me, maybe Bretzel, and then you.
You think I'm the least brave of those three?
I think if we get into a situation, like, I feel like I'm the first line of defense, and then Bretzel will, like, try, but not.
Well, it's
She's
also
also
because
chicken.
You carry a gun on you at all times.
Get
which I
outta
think
here.
Is, oh, wait.
Wow.
I carry a falcon.
We've already established that you're a liar.
Oh, no. So that thing about my dad's friend and the bread?
Oh.
Yeah, that definitely happened.
Okay.
So Kilches Point Reserve.
Kilches Point Reserve.
So, like most places in the United States and Canada and Mexico and just the Americas, this was populated by native tribes for most of its history. So part of what the Kilches Point Reserve is attempting to do is kind of teach you about the flora and the fauna and the people that were here. And so you can kind of like walk the lands and see kind of how it was. And then it goes from this like little parking lot that doesn't. So this is another thing. Like there's like the Tillamook Bay is so big and it like encompasses like almost to Cape Mears. And you can go all the way around through Tillamook and up through Bay City. If you know any of these places, that'll make sense to you. But if you've never been here, this makes no sense to you. So it's a big horseshoe shape, and you would imagine this. You'd see the bay from everywhere, but you don't. Like, so I was always like, the bay's really small. You can only see it from Bay City and kind of Garibaldi.
Right.
But yeah, so you park just outside of like downtown Bay City, and if you walk the path all the way, you go out to the bay.
Right.
Which there's just not like access that I know of
To the bay.
to the bay.
Right. Yeah, it's a really wonderful trail, and it's definitely worth doing.
They have pavers down, so they have like I think it forks into like the flora trail and the fauna trail. Like one, if you're unaware, flora means the plants of the world, and fauna means the animals of the world. Not that we've seen too much fauna. The one critique I will say about the Kilches Point Reserve is that I feel like the trails are very narrow.
I agree.
It's
but
a little claustrophobic.
Well, I think they had some scouts or they had some different volunteers, and that's fine.
But when I worked at the newspaper, I interviewed the director of the museum, who was really proud of like the completion of the trail. But when he was talking to me, he was definitely like, yeah, so we keep catching these things on the trail cams. And I think his comment about trail cams has freaked you out for any trail that we've ever been on
I
ever
know.
since.
I'm like, nope, I don't know. There's too many trail cams. I don't know. I just like too many cams in general. We used to be all about shenanigans, but now everybody's got their little Ring doorbell. So if you're listening and you got one of those, I am going to say it's kind of a fun killer.
So that chalk thing
I
we
can't
talked
sneak
about,
up on you. Yeah, no more birthday chalk. No more, I don't know.
Because I'm gonna be arrested.
Yeah, so I mean, Katie, one of the things that you are is you're kind of like a free peer.
Excuse me?
You're a free peer.
Sure.
So if you got to pee, you're gonna drop trow and go.
Oh, free peer.
yeah, free peer.
Free peer.
I could understand.
What a term.
Yeah, free.
Yeah, I let it fly. I'll go. I go when I gotta go.
And I appreciate that about you.
but
I can't
yeah.
even go when I'm at a urinal sometimes.
But yeah, with a trail cam, I'm like, don't touch me. I'm like, I don't want any. Don't even. I don't know. I'm freaked out by the trail cam.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so there's a bird. I think our friends got married there. We skipped the wedding. So there is a bird watching station near the end of the Kilchis Point Reserve. And some kids, I think, kicked out the slats in it. And by kids, it could have been adults. I don't know. The trail cam didn't catch it. But it is a really beautiful little area. You can sit down, hang out. I'm assuming
Gazebo.
gazebo.
There's a gazebo.
You could probably look at birds. I don't know. What kind of birds do you think are out there? Herons.
Osprey.
Ooh, look at you throwing out osprey. Perhaps eagles of the bald variety.
Probably. Hawks.
Mm.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of birds in this area, and I think for birders, they would be excited.
So again, highly recommend Kilchis Point Reserve. Check it out. Parking's kind of limited, but it has
Doable.
Pavers for most of the trail, and I imagine that they're still working on it, like a slow
Right.
work in progress.
Right.
But yeah, it's a really pleasant. I mean, we took your grandparents in their 90s out on part of that path, and they had their walkers and did really well.
Right. So if you're in a wheelchair, or if you're in a stroller, or
If you
whatever,
are in a stroller,
whatever, it might not be accessible the entire way. But I mean, we haven't done it in a little bit now, but you can definitely do a decent amount of the trail.
so yeah, that is
With
a
wheels.
hot thing to do. Another thing that comes up, we've yet to do this, but they've started this tradition of having the Bay City Pearl Festival. And that's a late August kind of thing. I will say their logo is, oysters are always going to look kind of suggestive, but it is like an oyster guitar that, you're like, it looks like something else. But it also is with a backdrop that I think is supposed to be like the sun setting over the bay, but it just looks like the Death Star. So it's a
Wow.
suggestive oyster in front of the Death Star, and that's the Pearl Festival. They got music, they have food. Seems like a pretty cool event. So maybe that's something we do this year. Hey.
Well, you're really talking up the design, so I guess
sure
so.
am. Something else, I wanted to give you more information about the history of Bay City. I think we scratched the surface of some things that happened there. I went on the City of Bay City website, and they had a whole section for their history. What do you think was there?
Nothing.
That's not true. There was 3 photos. There were no captions with the photos, just 3 photos.
Okay.
And that was it. It was just, the history was 3 photos.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the history of Bay City.
What were the pictures?
They were black and white pictures of buildings.
The cafe.
Maybe one was a mill? I don't know. Mills were everywhere. There
Mills were everywhere.
probably wasn't a mill there, but maybe one was a church. Maybe one was a school. That was the history.
Well, there's the Methodist church there.
Look at you, repping your childhood religion. We got married in a Methodist church. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, dear explorers, exploragonians,
Do you feel like we gave you too much information about Bay City, but also not enough? Just kind of.
is it too much? It was definitely TMI in a personal sense, maybe.
I think it was an intense way to start season 2, but as we just as we have previously stated, it's been 2 years, and I feel like the mouth and the brain, and it's gonna This was the
You're
what?
our first pancake.
Wow. Jordan just said this to me the other day, and it was like, well, the first pancake's got to go. And I was like, what are you talking about? I love the first pancake.
I've literally never thrown away like the first pancake. And I was also insulted when someone told me the first pancake theory.
And by someone, you mean your mom?
I don't know who said it. Don't accuse my mother of things. She wasn't even there when I beat up that guy with the loaf of bread.
Wow. Okay, so enough with Bay City. We are moving on. Season 2 is officially happening.
Oh,
started? Oh my
Yep.
God. Okay, where are we going next week?
I would love to take you to Canada.
Oh, good.
I'm going to take you to the smallest province in Canada.
That sounds fun.
A little hot goss here about this province. It is smaller than every single U.S. state except Rhode Island.
Where do you think we're going?
We're going to British Columbia.
No.
Oh.
Prince Edward Island.
Which is a very important thing for Katie. But you're going to have to just hold your horses for 7 days. And we're going to go to your island. You're on Prince Edward Island.
Hey, the cool kids call it PEI.
They certainly do. Let's go to PEI next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Fred. This is AI, actually. I'm a robot.
No.
Yep, this is an AI voice.